So last week I introduced you to Dino, which was our custom-built drone or unmanned airborne system that was made for us in New Zealand. And the really special thing about that was the 7-kilo payload, which carried the Sony digital SLR camera, which we use for creating 3D models and high spatial resolution mosaics. The hyperspectral system, which is really important for looking at plant health monitoring and other features of the environment. And finally our thermal camera for looking at temperature. So today I'd like to introduce Betty. This is a small drone. It's a commercial off-the-shelf system that I purchased from Harvey Norman for about $1,700 Australian. So on top of that there's a few spare parts, a GoPro and a gimbal that's going to hold my GoPro in place when I capture my imagery. So either directly down for survey or out. So I guess you may ask, why would I buy something like this when I have a wonderful system like Dino that I introduced last week? And well, the key thing here is the cost. So at a fraction of the cost I can get something up in the air. Now there's no way that the imagery is going to be anywhere as good or as high quality as what we've got with our large system, but what it actually enables me to do is to practice my flying as well. So all of our systems fly on the Pix Hawk flight controller, which means that once we get used to them we can modify parameters for all of our craft and have them flying in the same way. So I'm quite comfortable flying this one, and I know that if something happens to it or if I need to do any experimentation, it crashes or whatever, it's not such a huge loss of my investment. Now the other thing is that with the GoPro, while the images aren't as fabulous as what the Sony will take on our big system, they still do provide really good information. And so we can still capture fairly decent areas. So the flight time on this one is advertised at about 20 minutes with payload, but I think it's probably closer to about 16 minutes or so. And so we can use this as a bit more of a first response system. So go out, have a check to see what's out there, and then send up the big system when we're sure exactly what we want to survey. The other thing that's really cool with the 3D Robotics Solo is that it has an expandable accessory bay, so we can add in other things with that as well. And at the moment we're working on integrating an Ocean Optics small spectrometer that's about the size of a matchbox, so that will fly with the GoPro at the same time to give us hyperspectral information just on a point-based manner. So there's a lot of really good aspects of the Solo. It is a really nice consumer system. It's not a toy, despite the fact that it is sold in general department stores around the country, but it does really fit a purpose for us here at James Cook University. Next week I'll be taking this out to Heron Island to do some surveys of the reef, as our big system's just not quite ready to be heading out over water yet, and I don't want to risk that. So I'm going to go with a GoPro and get some mosaics and some decent data over that. So I'll be here and broadcasting live from Heron Reef next Tuesday morning at 8 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you then.